Hi guys. So just want to do a quick market update. Nothing too fancy, just cover a few important topics. So first of all, if you followed the trades, congratulations. I mean, we closed the long. We caught this entire move up till our resistance level, and it was worth $11,000. Nothing too fancy, but money is money, profit is profit, right? And we also, because we closed the remainder of our position during this rejection, we avoided a pretty large dump, right? So now looking at what's going to happen as we move forward. So the one good thing is that the pre-all-time range value area, so we had this normally distributed value, okay? So this range was always going to act as just that, as a range whenever we come back. So the moment we broke down into this range, especially when we had the monthly open right at the value area high. So the moment you had the strong rejection candle here, this is when I was pretty certain that we'll get lower prices. I closed longs, and then we rotated almost immediately to the range lows of this value. And also we took out these lows, right? And we had a major sweep just here. Now, what happens next? Well, while we did sweep it, it is important to see what happens next in terms of higher time frame longs. Okay, it's not as simple as okay, we swept the lows, so now we wait for the pump. Now, last night I talked about this earlier as well. It was a good opportunity to long because this is just a zoomed in version of the dump that we talked about, right? Pretty significant, I think, about 6% on Bitcoin. It was much more brutal on altcoins, if you ask me. So we had a lot of open interest rise. So this is when the Trump versus Elon drama just was constantly unfolding on Twitter. And this is when we had a bunch of shorts pile in. So if you can see, this is perpetual delta. So on perps, we had a bunch of shorts pile in, and they were relentless up till we reached this 100K low. The moment we reached here, not exactly at the lows, but then the moment we came here, this is where I closed all my shorts. This is where you had open interest finding resistance. So open interest was not moving up anymore. You had the US session close somewhere around here. So the cardinal rule, one rule that you guys have to make sure of. Just one second, let me get this right. Yeah. So this is around where the US session closed. Okay. Let me just label this US. So one thing that you guys need to keep in mind is that if we dump during the US session and there is spot selling involved, that stops because most of it is directional flow from the ETFs or from marginal buyers. So if we dump during the US session, the moment the session is closed and you see some spot buying, it doesn't have to be ferocious, but we have some spot volume coming in, and you already know that there's a lot of shorts, and we had a lot of long liquidations as well. The long liquidations on Bitcoin alone was in I think more than 100 million, and then the entire market was about 300 million. So you had a lot of long liquidations, you had a lot of shorts piled up, open interest was finding resistance, US had just closed, you could have easily nailed this long. Okay, but now what's more important right now is the context in which all of this is happening. So we have a VWAP that is anchored to our lows near 75,000, and that has acted as support. So we've been able to firmly long along the way on all of these levels. The only point where we were wrong was around the 94K level, where we tried to short a range breakdown based on the previous range lows. Okay. So we've just been long only, and we've got a lot of good moves. We had the monthly open. We swept below the monthly open. We went back above. We found resistance at this. So the way I see price action right now is that this right here is our larger range. And I believe that for the first few months of summer, we remain confined in this range. And then we have mini ranges here, just like we had a range here, we moved up, right? We had another range here, and we moved up. Then we formed a distributive range here and we broke down. And now we found ourselves within this range's value once again. Okay. And so what is the trigger for longs? So there are two scenarios that I see right now. One, we have, because of that spot VWAP and then the short squeeze, we've come back to the origin of the dump, which is the monthly open and the volume gap that we had from these levels. But we are still we've accepted under this VWAP from the lows. This is the first time since the uptrend started that we've accepted under this VWAP. We found resistance here, and this is where we closed our longs just because of that reason. Okay. So we found resistance here. Now we've come back to the origin of the dump here. So there are two scenarios. Either we get back above the monthly open and we have strong spot volume supporting us, which we can observe right here. We have aggressive spot supporting us. Then we can look for longs not only on Bitcoin, but also simultaneously on altcoins. Okay. So the cleanest long that we'll have is acceptance above this level, acceptance above this origin of the dump. And then we can play it for a long right into our previous range resistance. This dotted line would be our TP1. And then this would be our TP2 near the range highs again, because then we are expecting a value area rotation between this range as well. So once we accept over 107.1K, we move above and we test the value area high extreme at $110,000. So that's the level to level if we continue to see upside on Bitcoin. Now, another scenario that I'm considering is that we have some sort of a three drive. And I'm not sure about the price levels because it changes based on your time frame, right? But we come back down and we try to test some node here. Okay, we had a lot of value built up over here. We had a lot of value built up over here, and then we had a thin move up, right? So, in my opinion, this level especially should bring us some really strong support. Okay, and this would be between 98,000 and all the way down till 96,000. So, the high confluence long position that I'm looking into right now is between 98 to 96,000. And this is where I really want to long Bitcoin with size. So this is like another pullback scenario that we can consider. I'm not saying that either of these happen, but now I have a plan and I am mostly long biased based on what happens between this level if we get there, or what happens if we get above this level. Now, in terms of shorts, what am I thinking? So we already T-walked up till here, and we are at the origin of the dump. So if during the US Open today, which is in a couple of hours, we see a rejection or we see a repeat of yesterday, then I would be willing to take a scalp short around these levels. But for that to happen, we need some order flow confluence, right? We are almost at the origin of the dump, so we need some distributive price action on the lower time frames. What would that look like? Well, anywhere between this whole zone, if we have some sweep of the highs and then deviation back below simultaneously, a lot of shorts have already been squeezed out. But if we have some sort of short liquidations, like a small spike will do. If not short liquidations, we see like spot volume continuing to decline during the US session. That is when you have a trigger for a scalp short down. And then again, no need to just focus on Bitcoin for scalp shorts. We have many other coins that are looking much worse. For example, Ethereum, we dumped and we've not retraced the entire move like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is already, if this was Bitcoin and we look at it in a parallel manner, Bitcoin has already reached this point. So I would be willing to short Ethereum because we had that structural break, right? So I would be willing to short Ethereum anywhere between 2550 and above, and then go for a chance at the lows. Okay. So, and the same goes with like a lot of different altcoin structures. For example, Solana, it has reached our exact bid level. So all of my spot bids, if you remember the last market update video, or I think it was a Twitter post. So I said that okay, throughout this range of 4.5%, I have a lot of spot orders left. I will be buying Solana during these levels. Okay, so all of my orders are filled, but if we get above till 155, I will be looking to hedge some of that exposure. Okay, not all of it, some of it, and then hold spot into a new uptrend if the opportunity presents itself. So you can go through many altcoins and you can keep looking for different variables, but these are the things that I'm looking for. I don't think there's any need to panic just yet. we have the quarterly VWAP as confluence for our low VWAP. And then simultaneously, if you want, you can look at the monthly VWAP as well. So the monthly VWAP, we closed it around 104K, right? So we lost it. We tested like almost close to the lower band of the last monthly VWAP, and now we're getting back to the same level. So as I said, this retest right here is one of the most important. And if you get a scalp short around these levels, it will be just here. Apart from that, you get above, you try to long into this range high and then this range high. If you dump, you long again. So the only scalp short that's going to come up is going to come during the next two US sessions exactly at this area. Okay. So that's all from my end. I hope this was useful. I hope you have some trading ideas in your head. I will be uploading many trading ideas on my Twitter as well as my Telegram channel, where I usually update in real time. So keep an eye there, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and I hope this was useful. See you guys in the next one.